Well, thank you very much for staying with us. And in case you're joining us, you're just in time for the big conversation here on KTN Prime. And tonight, we're talking about Honorable Irungu Kang'ata's decision to ditch and, of course, announce that he will not be seeking re-election with the United Democratic Alliance, a party that, of course, he vied with or under in 2022, and thereby, of course, winning the Murang'a gubernatorial seat. Now, he's famously known or has been famously referred to as Kang'ata wa Barua by President William Ruto. This owing to the infamous letter that he wrote to former President Uhuru Kenyatta in December, or rather on December 30th, 2020, just 18 months to the general elections then, a moment that saw him vindicated during the polls. It is almost 15 or 16 months thereabout to the next general election. He's come out again saying that indeed all is not well for the ruling party in the vast Mount Kenya region, a vote-rich region, a region that propelled President William Ruto to the House on the Hill in 2022. I'm joined by Murang'a Governor, Honorable Dr. Irungu Kang'ata. Very good evening to you, sir.
Yes, I'm fine.
Thank you for making time.
Thank you.
Now, Governor, like I mentioned, you wrote your letter in 2020 to the then President Uhuru Kenyatta, barely 18 or thereabout months to the general election, telling him that at that time the BBI initiative was not popular, and out of 10 people that your office was able to talk to, 6 opposed the BBI, of course, completely, 2 supported it, and 2 were indifferent. You're back again, almost 4 years later, 6 years later rather, with another, some say a thunderstorm. And this time around, you're saying that the United Democratic Alliance, a party that you supported, and of course, you got elected into office under it, is a bit unpopular, and there are concerns about political persecution. Now, the people say that this is just another calculated jump ahead of the 2027 polls. My question is this another Barua moment?
No, it is not.
Why not?
There is no letter that I've really written to any superior entity, unlike last time when I was a senator. What is circulating in the social media is a statement for media consumption, so it is not.
It is not?
Yeah, it is
Fair
not.
enough. But, I mean, in your address, you said you tried to air out the differences or, the ideologies that you have in mind, the policies, the ideas with the highest hierarchy within the party. And you even held a meeting with President William Ruto in regards to the same. And finally, you decided that you will not be seeking re-election under the UDA party. I mean, what exactly and where exactly was the point of departure in regards to these issues that you did not agree with the head of state?
2 issues, issue number 1 is on political strategy, how to deal with Mount Kenya and ensure UDA retains support. My boss had a different point of view, and we left it at that. There was no convergence of issues and strategies. I then allowed the party to make an attempt to execute that which they thought is a better strategy to deal with Mount Kenya. It's now about 1 year after we had that meeting. I see no change. Yeah, that's one point of departure. Second point of departure is on policy priority. I know this UDA government, it has several signature programs. It has housing, it has SHA, it has, let's say, the university new funding model. That's okay, and I must respect the view of the party, but I hold the view that this country to move forward, it needs to put more emphasis, 1, on manufacturing, 2, on education, 3, on health. On the health, I strongly believe that the country has resources to establish a fund that grants poor households a medical insurance fully paid up by the government. On education, I do know this country has enough resources to provide free secondary day school education. If you do maths, you'll see Kenya has about 2.7 million students in high school, day schools. They pay about 13,000 per annum out of pocket expenditure. If you multiply 2.7 times 13,000, that's about 35 billion. Compare the scale and the impact and the numbers of such kind of an intervention with an intervention like, let's say, housing currently is gobbling about 120 billion or thereabout per annum. But you can see the number of beneficiaries vis-a-vis if we had put that envelope of money to day schools. Then, of course, you have manufacturing. There's no country, to the best of my knowledge, has ever become rich without manufacturing things. Look around what we have currently. We have water here. This is manufactured, a glass. We have tissue, we have a board, we have clothes. Everything of value has to be manufactured. If it is not manufactured locally, it means we are creating jobs to foreigners, let's say China, and therefore we continue becoming poorer. And therefore, as a country, I feel the policy priority of this country should be manufacturing. The share of manufacturing to GDP, what we call gross domestic product, or rather measurement of wealth, has been decreasing. It used to be about 14%. We are now about 7%. And for me, that's not positive. And therefore, for those two reasons, I thought otherwise.
Now, Governor, you've mentioned about manufacturing, health, and education. From where you sit today, as a member of the United Democratic Alliance, a party that you campaigned for, how do you rate the government's decision, or rather policies in regards to these three sectors? Because the president has been heavy on matters health. He says his health program, the new health scheme, is a game changer. How do you rate that? How do you rate what the government has done so far in regards to matters education? Has it gotten to the levels where you as a party aspired in your manifesto?
Let me say I don't want to do any form of rating because that assumes I'm the SI unit of good progress. And therefore, I leave that to Kenyans. I can only make a commentary which ought not to be deemed as if I'm passing any judgment. Yes, it is true, I have seen some effort towards manufacturing. I know of a very good idea that was proposed by the Ministry of Trade to establish what they call county aggregation industrial parks. Also, some counties, including Murang'a, has been urged to establish an export processing zone. That's positive. However, a manufacturing sector demands so many other things to be fully supported. Number one, if you create a zone, you need to look for funds for infrastructure, the roads, the water, the power. Like now, the Murang'a Industrial Park requires about 2 billion Kenya shillings to provide power into that park. And therefore, I would have proposed UDA government. I know it is doing so many other things, but for me, that should have been the priority area, to look for, let's say, power for that park, as opposed to splitting the resources it has to so many other ideas. That's one. On education, as I have said, I know it is possible for national government to get money for us to have a free day school education. When I look at the money that is needed to cushion parents, same way with health. I know it all depends on allocation. What priority does the government give priority? Yeah, I think I better leave it at that.
Okay, just a moment. Let's talk about education. From where you sit, do you think it is an issue of lack of funds so that we can be able to implement the free education that you're talking about, or is it an issue of the lack of willingness?
It's about the priority.
It's about the priority.
Yeah.
Now, let's go back to your decision to ditch UDA. One, you said you will not be seeking re-election under the UDA party, but you say you will remain loyal to the party. Some say you're speaking from both ends of the mouth.
No, I'm not. You know, we don't have elections today. Elections will be held next year in the month of August 2027. So between now and that time, I'll be a member of UDA. Yeah.
Now, the timing is stuck, Governor, and you decided to make your announcement just a few hours after hosting the head of state in Murang'a County. Talk to us about the timing of your announcement. Why did you announce it immediately, or rather hours after hosting the head of state? Was that particular rally the moment where you realized, I need to make this announcement? Because you also talked about and lamented about leaders pushing you to, say whether you belong to the two-term brigade or the one-term brigade. Why that time?
Yes, it is true. When the president came to Murang'a, I think for the last 1 week or two, he has been there twice. And I did get pressure from colleagues in leadership for me to make a call, or rather to endorse various ideas from the government. Which is okay, but let me start by saying that from where I sit as a governor, I would have wished to be non-political and to be focused purely on matters development. I think for me that's the work of a governor. And therefore, politicization, from where I sit, I find it not being fair in terms of a governor doing politics. I know there are those colleagues who make that choice, but for me, I prefer to pure focus on matters development. And therefore, so the point is, the push was, tell us, you're in which camp, what are your political plans? And to the extent, some not so polite words were exchanged. Some people saying, for instance, I'm not sick, I'm just feigning, which is not true, because it is true I have a problem. And therefore, it reached a stage I said, okay, fine, I think they are right. Maybe I need to say that which I need to say so that I clarify matters. Best case scenario, from where I see it, is politics should be demarcated with service and effective delivery of a governorship. But now I saw a situation where they are merged, that it's not just about a certain delivery. You must shout two-term or one-term or whatever. Okay, so of course I don't have control of all factors that surround me. So it therefore made me think that they are right, those who are criticizing me in those small meetings, that I need to clarify my political future. And that's what I did. But allow me to also clarify that President Ruto remains our head of state. And I happen to be the governor of good people of Murang'a. That means when he comes to Murang'a, I have to accord him all the respect which he deserves, whether today, whether tomorrow, whatever, notwithstanding my talk. Thank you.
Okay, when you talk about political pressure, I presume from those within the United Democratic Alliance, some also say that there could be pressure, or you were probably facing pressure from the opposition, because the former deputy president, the DCP party leader, is on record saying in a church service that if you fail to declare your stance or make your stance public, then you might be forced to front a candidate. So was that part of the pressure that you're talking about?
Well, politicians have to politic. And from where I sit, other parties have the right to say whatever they want to say, and it is the right thing to do. They are looking for votes. And what they say, by the way, as a UDA member, is neither here or there. It is them saying. What matters for me is what UDA is doing to ensure it retains support. I say so because I believe strongly that for the last 1 or 2 years, there have been actions that have been done by UDA, or rather the government, which have led to the strengthening of the opposition. So, in short, opposition has been given some momentum by the actions of government and the UDA party. Let me give you an example. When UDA won Bere North seat, its rating started going up in my region. But I think 1 or 2 weeks after that win, an attack was carried out in a church in Othaya, Nyeri. It went down. The popularity of opposition went up.
Okay.
Later, another attack at a church in, Eastlands, it went up. Later, an attack on various opposition factions, opposition went up. So for me, of course, it appears the adage that history teaches us that we learn nothing from history.
Okay.
Seems to be true, because UDA, one of the reasons it won and became popular was the tribulations that it underwent prior to 2022 elections. But it appears it is doing the same to the opposition, and therefore strengthening the opposition. So one of the issues ahead is the strategy being deployed by UDA to remain popular or unpopular.
Now, when you talk about probably DCP gaining popularity because of, the persecution and then, the attacks on the opposition, and it being the same thing that the United Democratic Alliance faced and, what made it popular, then does it mean even at the moment, probably the DCP party in the Mount Kenya region is gaining popularity because of the attacks from the government, of the political persecution, as opposed to the ideas, the ideologies and policies that they have as a party and what they envision to do for the country? Is that the case, or is the popularity because of the persecution? And if it is indeed about, the persecution and the sympathy that they get from Kenyans, even for UDA in the 2022 general elections, then what does it say about the state of, politics here in the country, especially in regards to the voters? Do they vote because of sympathy or because of policies and ideologies that a party presents?
Sympathy in politics appears to be a very strong emotion, and there's no doubt that sympathy has propelled people into political power in this country. One of the reasons which made Kang'ata to become the president was the tribulation he underwent after he was detained by colonial government between, I think, if I'm not wrong, 52 to almost 60-something. That's why even the late Jaramogi Oginga, when he was given an opportunity to form government, he refused. Sympathy. Why Kenneth Matiba was a very popular leader in my region when I was young was he was detained by Moi. Sympathy. When Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto were arraigned before the ICC, that made them very popular. Sympathy. When Jubilee government was being crude, deploying coercion against UDA became popular. When now UDA government started deploying strong armed tactics against the opposition has been on an upward trajectory. I believe strongly that the best strategy is not to coerce people. You talk to them, you persuade them, but you avoid strong arm tactics. That's my view.
Then, when you say, these strong arm tactics, are you in a way saying that the government has, to some extent, used some sort of violence? Because there are accusations against the government in regards to also the issue of, goonism here in the country, and there are allegations and accusations from the opposition that these goons are being oiled and, financed by the government. If you say the government is, using some sort of, these long-arm tactics, are you admitting that the government has sanctioned some sort of violence against, dissenters?
The government has denied those accusations. It has said that it is the opposition which is sponsoring those goons to gain sympathy. The problem is, it is the government that has the machinery to arrest, if indeed these things are being done by the opposition. So far, no arrests. That then means people will logically infer government has a hand in it. It's the government that has monopoly of violence. So when such things happen, it has to think on how to ensure those who have done those things are arrested. And therefore, those things, by the way, they are creating what we call a siege mentality in the mountain. Siege means people feel, where I come from, that we are under attack. When my colleague Wamatangi, his properties were destroyed here in railways, I can tell you, amongst other things that he has done in Kiambu, that instance made him a hero in Kiambu County. And when Governor Miru, that is Kawira, was removed from office, okay, the rumor there is that UDA ought to have helped her by virtue that she had allied herself with the UDA government. So she's now using that to play victim in very devastating manner in Meru. So when you look at the combination of all those factors, for me, I would have advised UDA party to use alternative means to persuade the people of the region. But of course, I don't have a lot of voice in the party, so here I am. Thank you.
Okay, fair enough. Governor, you say there was, a lack of convergence in regards to the ideologies and, policies that the government ought to have implemented, and that is what led to you deciding that you'll not be seeking re-election under the UDA party. If today the head of state, President William Ruto, who's the UDA party leader, decides that he is looking into the issues that you talked about, the issues that you did not agree upon, and addresses them, then would you be open to, going back to the party that you were elected under, that is the UDA party, in ahead of the 2027 general elections, if they address those issues?
Well, let us cross the bridge once we reach there. So we wait and see. Although time does not wait for any king.
So you're not...
Yeah, so the point is also, as we approach the election, the door for such maneuvers is being closed. Of course, definitely you have to have an open mind. And again, as I have said, that my boss remains my boss. But also, now, we are entering into a situation where time is waiting for no man. You see, there's a book, by the way, I would recommend you to read on, and any other person watching here, written by Professor Lichman. It's called The 13 Keys to White House. It argues that voters make a decision concerning who they will elect many years before the actual polling date. That means that campaigns do not matter in politics because voters will have made their decision way ahead the campaigning period. And therefore for him, campaigns are nothing but entertainment. And nothing changes 1 year to an election. And indeed, Professor Lichman has correctly predicted since 1982, correctly, the person who will win US presidency, except last election he missed out on Trump. So the point is, I don't know if you agree with him, is that as we approach an election, opinions will have been shaped, and therefore we might not be able to move the needle. So in answer to your question is, if indeed UDA has such kind of plans, time to remedy is now, and it is almost ending. Otherwise, it will be very late.
So you're saying the door is not completely closed?
No, we wait and see. We wait and see.
Now, Governor, you made a decision not to seek re-election under UDA, but you remain loyal to the party. Is this decision hinged on you, what Kenyans now lead to Kuskiza ground?
No, I've said the 2 points which made me think, which is policy and political strategy.
Is DCP an option for you?
Pardon?
Is the DCP party an option for you?
Let me be open and listen to all things ahead. But I've said, by the way, it's not about a party or a faction. It's about the issues. I need to read manifestos, see who is giving priority to manufacturing, education, and health. So let me wait and see the policy platform. To the best of my knowledge, no party has unveiled its policy platform yet, including, by the way, UDA, DCP, Jubilee, or whatever. So let's wait and see who has a policy platform that aligns with my understanding what is good for Kenya. And for me, what is good for Kenya, for now, I know we have so many problems, but I think those three ought to be the priority of any party that wants to make Kenya a better society.
Fair enough. Governor, some say you are a fence-sitter because, for example, today we saw Kandara lawmaker, that is Honorable Chege Njuguna, ditching the United Democratic Alliance and joining the DCP party. Some say by virtue of, you saying you're not decided yet on the party or the platform that you will use or want to join at the moment, the political outfit, then you're somewhat a fence-sitter. What do you have to say in regards to that?
Nothing. When people say something about you, there's nothing you can do. Mm-hmm. It is their right. It is the way they are looking at me. Maybe I need to look into that phrase and see how I can remedy, but it's their opinion. For me, of course, I will not rush into anything. There's no world that is ending. And by the way, winning an election is the, how do I put it, is the shorter the journey. The more important journey is what do you do with the power once you get it. These 2-term, 1-term things we are discussing here in Kenya, they are good, they are nice. But after 1 year, 2 months, that is 2027 August, once we have a new government, there will be no one term, no, two term. But the ECDs that we are repairing in Murang'a, they'll be with us forever and ever. The smart cities, Cabro and Tamaking of our urban areas, they'll be with us forever and ever. The porridge that we are giving to our young ECD learners, they'll be with Murang'a people forever and ever. The new hospitals and the dispensaries that we have built in Murang'a, or the solarization program, or the automation, or the medical insurance that we are giving to the poor, all factors being constant, they'll be with Murang'a people for the longest. No one recalls Moi Kibaki political statements, but we do recall Kibaki once we see Thika Spur Highway.
Okay.
No one recalls Kibaki speeches, but when we see or we feel free primary school education or boda boda, we always see Kibaki. So for me, it is not those slogans that matter to me. It is the long term and the posterity.
There's speculation that a new political outfit could be in the offing, and you are part of the brains behind that political outfit. And some other leaders have been mentioned, including your MP from the constituency that you represented in 2013, that is Honorable Ndindi Nyoro. Is that the case? If for example, you don't find the ideologies and you go through the manifestos that, like you've talked about, of the parties that are there, and you're not pleased, are you then also thinking about probably forming your own political outfit?
For now, no.
Okay. Let's talk about Mount Kenya politics for a moment. Is President William Ruto's goose already cooked in the mountain, or does he stand a chance if it fixes the issues that the mountain has raised?
I don't know. We wait for the elections. That's when we'll know whether the true answer to your query. For now, it can only be speculation.
From engagement with the people of Murang'a, what is the picture on the ground, Governor? Because the president maintains that he still has support in that particular region. We know it is a region that propelled him to power. He was recently in Murang'a, and he boasted of the numbers, the turnout in that particular rally. But on the ground, as a leader who's always on the ground, what is the situation?
Problematic, highly problematic. Yeah, people are raising so many issues, and it is true. There is a lot of political problems insofar as UDA party is concerned in our region. That is the truth.
Okay, I want us to talk about this issue of impeachment and the DP position. And of course, again, the majority leader in the National Assembly, that is Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, the lawmaker for Kikuyu constituency, whom he said is your very good friend, made some statements in regards to your statement and your decision not to seek re-election under the UDA party. And he said, my friend, Kang'ata, Governor Murang'a, what is it I'm hearing that you claim I have been pressuring you? He said that, beg your pardon, I said to you at Kenneth Matiba, let's just get that again, not to exert pressure, but to call out the hypocrisy I saw in your engagements. Now, he goes ahead to say, if we can have the next slide. He goes ahead to say, we know each other well. Remember our Lavington meeting at the time of the impeachment. This is what would constitute exerting pressure, the kind of pressure you're exerting to be named deputy president. I gave you my peace of mind on your candidature and the politics of hypocrisy that I read in your quest. I am still of the same views today as I shared with you. Governor, let's address this issue. Did you at any point seek to be Rigathi Gachagwa's replacement after the impeachment of the former DP?
Well, it is true there were some leaders from various quarters who came to nudge me and push my name forward for that position. Remember, I'm not now a member of parliament, so I did not vote in either way. So we were just in Muranga when that came to be. However, at a certain point then, I decided that I'm not interested, and that's it. So as to the tweet by my friend, my brother MP for Kikuyu, Mheshimiwa Ishong'o, I really do not want to discuss this issue further. I apologize, and I do apologize again, because I mentioned his name. I never thought he would take it personally. I say it in passing, and therefore I'm so sorry. And I would want him, maybe later, we can have a cup of tea privately, and I will tell you more issues surrounding that meeting he's alluding to. Oh, thank you.
Now, are you angling or looking at that particular position? Because, Governor, you served as a member of parliament for one term. You served for, as a senator from Muranga County for just one term, and then you ascended to the governor of Muranga County. You did not defend your seat on both occasions. Are you looking at, is it a seat that you're, looking at going forward, even in the future, if not in the, immediate term?
No, I don't want. I don't want to become a deputy president in 2027, or even the president for that matter. I am contented with what we are attempting to do in Muranga. I strongly believe we have not finished that endeavor. Therefore, it will be very boastful for me to make an attempt to seek any other position for now, because of so much outstanding and pending works. Yeah, so it's okay. Whoever wants to become president or the deputy president, just know in Kang'ata you don't have any political enemy or competitor.
Fair enough. Governor, talking about your tenure currently as the governor of Muranga County, Kenyans, and even on social media, are awash of praise in regards to what you've been able to do in Muranga County. And one posed the question, Governor, if your track record speaks for itself, then you probably could be reassured of re-election regardless of the party that you will vie under, whether you go independent, whether you decide to vie under UDA, or whether you decide to vie via DCP. But that seems not to be the case. Is it an issue of, the voter, or what is the exact issue? Because if then your track record speaks for itself, and I'm not talking just about you, about other leaders out there. We've had leaders even in the last election who did very well in their tenure as members of parliament or senators, but because of the party that they vied under, they were voted out. Then what does that say about our politics again?
Well, politics is a very unpredictable game. Where I come from, before I was born, but I would hear my parents discuss and other friends. In 1979, I was not born, but a major election was happening there. There was the incumbent MP then was called Kiano. He was touted one day to become a president. He was very popular. He has been in that position as an MP for Mbiri, Kiharu, for I think 3 terms, until Kenneth Matiba came. He had helped Kiharu people to get piped water. You'd imagine in 1970s, Kiharu had piped water. But Matiba was able to convince the people of Kiharu that you guys forget about water. Water is not milk. And people agreed and voted out Kiano. So you are right that at times leaders are not voted purely on the basis of development. But for me, that's neither here or there, because at times you don't do development with an eye of being elected only. You do it, one, for God. There's a moral reason why you have to push for development. That's one. 2, for posterity. Yes, people can decide to vote you out if you have done development, but my advice to such leaders is don't worry. They will remember you, even after you are gone. I know of an MP who was MP for Kadiani, General Mulinge, who was voted out by people of Kadiani despite doing development. But later on, people realized, maybe that was not the right thing to do, and they have been electing and re-electing his grandson. So for me, development is the right thing to do, irrespective of the outcomes in an election. That's why people vote for you. You think how to solve. There are so many problems: food insecurity, healthcare, education. And then once you do it, then you leave the rest to God and the people to make a judgment. If for any reason they decide to take you home, be happy. They even give you that opportunity. When you look at UK and ask any historian who is the best prime minister so far, they will tell you of a man who never used to speak a lot called Clement Attlee, 1945 to 1951. He only became the prime minister of UK for only 6 years. But the kind of programs he did, no other prime minister has ever reached that level, including those who have served for more than 3 terms, like Blair. Yeah. So he did signature programs that remain up to date, including what we call NHS, National Health Service. So the point is, you just do your work and you leave the rest to God. And if for any reason people decided to send you home, thank that you had the opportunity to serve humankind.
But isn't that a culture that we need to, detest as a country, where, at the end of the day, the political vehicle that you use is, overrules, what you've been able to do development-wise? Because if that will be the case, then we risk remaining in the past in terms of developing as a country. We talk about Singapore, but can we get to Singapore, Governor, if that is the route that we take every day, every election cycle?
It's politics. It's democracy. And the voice of the people is the voice of God. So if people make a certain decision, agree and be happy to do that. I saw a prime minister who had been voted out in Australia say something very cogent. He said that politics is the only game where, it's the only form of employment where when you're being employed, people applause. But you are so sure at a certain time in your life, you will exit when you are crying. So, except the very few who are able to win in all elections, 90-something% of all politicians will retire while they are crying. Imagine, you are so certain that the day you lose your employment, people will be almost stoning you. But when you are coming in, everyone was so happy to see you in. So the point is, let us embrace the exigencies of winning and losing an election. And for me, that is the whole notion of being democratic. And one of the areas, by the way, I'm finding UDA that needs to correct itself is the idea it needs to embrace and love democracy as an end, not as a means, as an end to itself. That is, the idea that you can compete with the other party in a civil manner, without use of guns, without use of violence, and you be happy. Even if you lose, you just know, at least I've made my contribution to entrench democracy. That is a very important virtue. When you create a society that's democratic, where power exchanges without violence, in a seamless manner, you create strong institutions that outlast you, and that strengthen a society. This is a competition for ideas, so why fear the consequence?
Okay, let's talk about your administration, Governor. You lead a county that your administration has been taunted as one of the best county governments, your leadership structure, and what you've been able to do ever since the inception of the devolved units. What is it that you've done differently that was not done before you came into power? And I'm not trying to discredit the work that was done before you came into power, but even across all the counties here in Kenya. You recently hosted a delegation from Nigeria who had come to your county to benchmark on matters health, I believe. You've done a lot, the Smart City program, you've really empowered farmers. What is it that you've done different that you probably agitate other counties to adopt?
I think to be very unfair on my part to answer your question in a manner to assume that Murang'a is the one that has the monopoly of ideas and programs that ought then to be replicated elsewhere. So I can't say that. Let me also confirm that indeed, whatever we have done in Murang'a, the truth is quite a number of those programs, we take them from other places, we tweak them to suit Murang'a circumstances. So the point is, all good ideas are out there in society. Let me give you an example of a program called Murang'a Youth Service. Murang'a Youth Service, that idea, we took it after reading history in America in 1930s when the US economy collapsed. And the person who became the president, I think in 1933 or thereabouts, it was called Roosevelt. He came up with an idea called youth corps. Basically, you give young people what we call work-study programs. They clean their towns, you pay them, you give them vocational training. So when we read about that program, we knew Murang'a in Kenya generally has a huge problem of unemployment. So we created a program that mirrors that. Yeah, but it is opposite of National Youth Service, because National Youth Service, what it does is to congregate young people in a singular place. That then pushes what we call recurrent costs. As we do the opposite, people stay with their parents. They just come, they clean, we pay them a stipend, 400, 100 goes to the mother or the father. After cleaning for 2 months, then we take them to the vocational training, they get a trade, then we give them 15,000 as the seed capital. If they pass NITA exam, one group exits, another one comes in. Look at Uji program. Again, that's idea I picked when I was the member of the National Assembly from decorating, I think, South constituency of KJ. We were seated in Parliament. He mentioned it to me. I saw it's a good idea, and when I became a governor, I implemented it in Murang'a. The other idea, let's say, this card that we give to poor families to access hospital for free. Yes, I think that one, maybe we crafted it, but I recall that discussion, we did it at NHIF offices together with 2 other senators, Senator Cherargei and Senator Samburu. We were seated there, then we had a discussion, and then I gave the proposal to the then CEO of NHIF, and when I became a governor, I implemented it. When you look at Smart City, I once went to Kakamega. I saw what my brother, the Governor Oparanya, had done in Kakamega. Again, when I became a governor, I implemented the idea. So the point is, I believe best ideas are in Kenya and other places. We are not the first people to come to this world. Yeah, so you only need to learn and implement all those ideas. You stand on the shoulders of giants. You don't just come up with something from the blue. So I really want to put that way, as opposed to appear as if there's anything really special.
Okay, you're talking about county governments and governors. In regards to matters of accountability, Governor Kang'ata, there have been allegations that county chiefs are evading accountability. There's been a push and pull between the Council of Governors and the Senate, especially the CPAC committee. The allegations of extortion on the part of the senators, and senators do maintain that that has not been made clear. The COG needs to come out clear. The governors who are accusing the senators of extortion need to come out clear and say, this and this senators extorted us, and here's the evidence that we have in regards to the same. But then when they say in Kiswahili, falio hili wakipigana nyasi umia. At the end of the day, when this push and pull continues, the person who suffers is the common man. So how can we ensure that we uphold accountability as well as address such allegations?
I think it was a small tiff between the two important entities, and to the best of my knowledge, that issue has now been solved, that the two entities will now work peacefully in an amiable manner. I hope that is history.
Okay, fair enough. Governor, we're running out of time, but one final question to you. You said you support and stay loyal to the United Democratic Alliance and President William Ruto up to 2027. If you find a party whose ideologies align with your ideologies, with your aspirations as a leader in this particular country before 2027, probably mid-2026 or towards the end of 2026, will you then decide to ditch the UDA party and now join this particular outfit, or will you still remain loyal until the elections in 2027?
No, I will stay loyal, I've said, up until 2027 elections, not now, because I think it's the right thing to do. You need to be respectful of the party that you used to ascend into political power. That which I wanted to say, I've said it, the problems I'm seeing, and they remain on record. But that does not in any way mean that we become disrespectful to anyone. We become negative to any entity, as we prefer things which are not contentious. And by the way, truthfully speaking, my best case scenario was that I would have just wanted to quietly defend my position. But in fact, we are not for the maneuvering, the machinations, and what I had when there was this trip. I think we were having a lot of peace. But now, to reach a stage where now you are really being pushed, put into a corner to say your opinion, then that's it. I said it. So for me, or Moranga, we prefer to just do our things. As to the politics, we are not seeking to get the national leadership. So we are not in competition with anyone. Yeah, we are not competing with anything. So us, we beg for peace.
Okay, Governor, there is a bill that is being fronted in the Senate, and that is in regards to barring governors from, once they complete their tenures, whether it is the full 10-year period, from vying for the Senate seat and going to the Senate until a certain period of time, I think 5 years. I don't know whether that is a bill you'd support, because there are allegations that most of the county chiefs do lead for 10 years, they embezzle public funds, and then run to the Senate in the name of they're going to do oversight. I don't know, what are your views in regards to that particular bill?
Well, the truth is I've not exerted my mind into the merits and demerit of the proposition. Probably I need to look for it and think about it, although, of course, I'm not assigning anything negative on the proposal of that idea. But for me, I think my mind and the way I'm now attuned into things is to think of bread and butter issues. That is coffee, tea, avocado, maize farming. Not really matters that about power, who gets power, who does what. Yeah, they are good, but I feel those are secondary issues. How I wish we have a society that is strictly focused on economics. I think would be much ahead, as opposed to you'll only serve this house, or I don't know what. Let's concentrate on matters, economics. That's what makes Kenyans every day wake up. They interact with roads, water, they interact with lack of jobs, healthcare, education. And every time you are thinking about something else, you are losing on the opportunity to think on that which matters to Mwananchi. Yeah? And therefore, focusing on issues that matter for me is important.
Okay, fair enough. Finally, Governor, even as you give me your final submissions, within the ruling Kenya Kwanza administration, of course, there's a broad-based, arrangement, and there has been some sort of tussle and division, which rifts which are widening within the Orange Democratic Movement, and that has, of course, gone a long way in terms of there's now the Linda Ground faction, there's the Linda Mwananchi faction. Whatever is happening, or rather happened to the Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna, who's now perceived as the leader of the Linda Mwananchi faction. Again, some argue it is the same political persecution that you talked about while announcing that you will not be seeking re-election under UDA, and you said some leaders from the Mount Kenya region have been politically persecuted. And that seems to be the same script that is, happening within the ODM faction. From where you sit today, how crucial, regardless of the fact that you will not be vying under UDA, but how crucial is the unity of ODM as a party in President William Ruto's re-election plan, if Mount Kenya region is out of the picture for him?
No, it is crucial. ODM is a national party. It has a huge support. But from a political strategy point of view, it is unfortunate, or rather not to the interest of UDA, that marriage seems to be a marriage between UDA and part of ODM, not full ODM. Best case scenario would have been UDA plus ODM in full, not ODM as a part. And maybe that's where maybe political strategy is needed. When people disagree in politics, how do you ensure disagreements don't lead to fractures? Otherwise, if for any reason a party fractures, then definitely you don't get that which you want. And I think that's my own observation insofar as Linda Mwananchi faction is important. But also, as I have said earlier on, whoever assaulted Senator Osotsi in Kisumu, if that person was thinking he or she is doing that to help ODM and maybe even help the marriage between ODM and UDA, I think that was a very wrong strategy, because it had the opposite effect. It made Linda Mwananchi become a little bit stronger, and therefore I think Mahatma Gandhi was right when he said violence begets violence, and an eye for an eye will make this world go blind. The idea of using violence to further your political cause, that can never succeed. Persuade people, but don't coerce them.
Okay, Governor, I'll give you the last say. If you were to address the president today, Governor, in 30 seconds, what advice would you give him?
None. Me, I can't advise the president. I'm not his advisor. He has his duly appointed advisor. He has never sought my advice on this matter of politics. That meeting which I'm alluding to was my own request, and it was based on the idea that he is a long-time friend. And when you think you are headed to have some issues with your friend, fairness demand you look out for them and you tell them, hi brother, I have a problem on this issue. I don't want you to hear me saying something and then you get shocked. So, but beyond that, be assured that I have no way to advise any senior. I believe in respecting authority and appreciating those who are above you. Otherwise, I should be the president, and I'm not. So I have to appreciate whoever has reached there. He's there for a certain reason. So for me, I can't advise him. I can only give my comments and my views, which I have given, and that's it.
Okay, Governor, we are running out of time, but I have one question that I have forgotten. How crucial is the Ol Kalou by-election to the head of state? Because, like you said, you know, the mountain is a bit problematic. But in the scenario that UDA wins this particular seat, what kind of a picture does that paint for the head of state and for the united opposition, more so the DCP party?
Oh, let us wait and see.
Well, fair enough. Governor says time will tell. Thank you very much, Governor, for, of course, making time to be with us this particular evening. We'll, of course, invite you again to discuss matters of national importance. Of course, many thanks to you for being with us all the way from 9 p.m. to now, and to the entire team that made this particular session possible. Many thanks. Do enjoy the rest of our programming. If you're sleeping, have a great night, and like always, God bless.